Hi, I'm Brian Jackson with IT World Canada, and I'm at VMworld in San Francisco, here at the BlueCat booth, and I'm joined by Andrew Wertkin, the CTO. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, thank you for coming by.
So we know BlueCat from Toronto, of course, and I think most people are used to working with BlueCat in the capacity of managing IP addresses on their physical network. But here you are at a virtualization vendors conference. So what are you doing here?
There's, really the benefits of what we do, IP address management, become stronger and stronger and stronger as the complexity of the network grows and as change increases. And our customers, and one of the great things about being at this show is our customers are around this room, HP, CSC for instance, they're driving a massive amount of innovation through virtualization. That creates massive amounts of change to IP space, and so all of the problems we solve, the types of devices that need to connect to the network, are driving up where it used to be hundreds or thousands or slow changes to those. Now we have customers that are trying to provision thousands and thousands of machines in an hour. Dividing up that IP space, dividing it into subnetworks and blocks, that process must happen at a much more rapid pace, and without being able to see and logically map the network, it's very difficult to do that. So we believe that the adoption of virtualization and virtualization technologies makes what we do even more critical to our customers. So it's been a great show for us and a lot of super interest.
Yeah, so there's a few key benefits that we should cover when we're thinking about how IPAM fits into the virtualization space. Do you want to take us through some of those?
Yeah, for sure. So, it's an extension into that space. Our customers are extending what they're doing, combining what they're doing both on the physical side and the virtual side. And so, that extension requires applicability and driving technology into those environments. They want to know exactly what's happening in that VMware infrastructure, for instance. Other key benefits include mapping the changes, and again, as these networks are created, or you have compute moving from one cluster to another because of failover, or compute's moving because we're driving it to a different part of the geography, for instance, those all create changes and require changes, for instance in DNS, to track those specific applications, to track those services. And so a core benefit of ours is understanding what's happening in those environments and exposing that to the user base. And on the flip side, it's taking what we do, dividing out that space and mapping out that space and pushing it into those environments, all the while creating an atmosphere where we can have a common policy, common governance, all of the things that are important from an IT perspective across these environments. And very importantly, the faster things change, the more opportunities there are from a vulnerability standpoint to find ways into environments or to expose and drive aberrant behavior and allow for attacks, allow for data to leak out of the organization. And so we're also providing a lot of benefit in those environments by providing an extension into what we do on the security side, by stopping threats, by stopping hosts from being able to access malware sites, for instance, or not allowing hosts to even come on the network because they're not authenticated or wasn't provisioned in the right way. So a few key points where we think it takes what we normally do and it's even more critical.
All right, and just to wrap up, what's the number one takeaway that you're bringing out of this conference as the CTO of BlueCat? What have you learned here that is going to change maybe the way you work or give you some sort of priority to focus on when you go back to Toronto?
What's really being driven at this conference more than prior VMware conferences is the virtualization of the network. And there's been a lot of discussion around VMware's NSX, what HP's doing. There's a lot of vendors here who are driving and talking very much around that virtualization of the network. We've been working with those vendors and have all sorts of capabilities in those areas where we think it can be beneficial. but we're starting to see uptake. I'm talking to customers who are here because they are customers of those technologies and are starting to implement them. And that's sort of the last piece. There was virtualization of compute and storage. Virtualization of the network is happening at a slower adoption rate, but it's happening, and I think that's the key take home for me.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for taking the time to tell us all about this.
My pleasure, thank you.
Again, I'm Brian Jackson for IT World Canada, and if you're looking for more updates from VMworld, just come to itworldcanada.com.